Hasan Piker has blown up in recent years. After the 2024 election, the popular leftist Twitch streamer became a go-to voice within the Democratic Party, looking to him for questions on how Dems should embrace the new internet, how to reach young men, or even the political cost of the Biden White House's policy on Gaza. But Piker's glow-up has angered a section of Democrats who are growing louder in voice.
He is such an extremist that it will only do damage to Democrats and hurt their chances of beating right-wing populism.
True. I'm such an extremist. Bitch, if you think I'm an extremist, you think the average American is a terrorist, okay? Why am I an extremist? Because I want fucking Medicare for all. Why am I an extremist? Because I want free college, free healthcare. I want better infrastructure. I want to stop all these fucking wars that we're waging. That all of our finances seemingly go to. If I'm an extremist, then the average American is an extremist, but you can't fucking say that. So you have to keep trying to do this stupid, idiotic disciplining thing.
Now, Third Way isn't just any group. It's probably the premier centrist think tank in Washington, D.C. Their whole thing is about pushing the Democratic Party to embrace more moderate establishment candidates that more closely align with their views and, in Third Way's opinion, do better on the ballot. And while I want to know why Third Way thought it was important to publish this article this year, I wanted to begin by highlighting what the op-ed's general argument was. Here's one paragraph that I think lays out their argument well. Mr. Piker is often called progressive, but that does violence to the term. A self-identified Marxist, he has referred to ultra-Orthodox Jews as, quote, inbred, employed anti-Semitic dog whistles against an anti-Hamas viewer of his stream, compared liberal Zionists to, quote, liberal Nazis, unquote, and said, quote, Hamas is 1,000 times better, unquote, than the Israeli state. Now, I get the importance of what they're saying, and we know anti-Semitism is an important issue in this country. But I also have more questions, so I connected with John Cowan. Cowan is the president of Third Way and the co-author of this piece in the Journal. So to begin quickly, let's hear your case. You know, Third Way has argued that Democrats are too cozy with Hasan Piker. Why?
Look, bottom line is, it's a free country. And I believe in free speech. So Hasan Piker should be free to have his own show, to stream, to say and do whatever he wants. That's not the question. The question is, should Democrats be supporting him? Should Democrats campaign with him?
I think there's something really funny about this guy who has it ass backwards. And I kind of like brought that up a little bit in the conversation, but it bears repeating, which is when Democratic candidates have me on stage with them, that's not actually beneficial for me. Like, you have it on backwards. They're asking me to go on stage not because they love me and they're like, oh my God, it would be so sick. They do that, well, one, because, you know, there's an ideological alignment there, but they also do that because it gives them credibility on certain issues and it's beneficial for them. What these guys think, unfortunately, because they're wrong, it's ass backwards, is like those guys are just out of the kindness of their heart offering me a fucking platform. I'm giving them a platform, dude.
And the answer is definitively no. Not just because the things he says are profoundly offensive, and I will run through those in a moment, but because he is such an extremist that it will only do damage to Democrats and the Democratic brand and hurt their chances of beating right-wing populism and expanding the map across the country. Hasan Piker is anti-American. He is bigoted. He's anti-Semitic. And he is deeply misogynistic.
What was the impetus to publish this piece in March? You know, why this year? Trump is president. Democrats have very little power in Washington. What made you all publish this now?
Great question, ASTEAD. So we published this for a specific reason and a broad reason. The broad reason is that if Democrats are going to not just beat Trump and
here, I'll translate from corpo speak, from consultant speak. We can't yell at the growing base of support for the causes that, you know, align against our corporate investors, like Medicare for all, free college, you know, the litany of things that Bernie has endorsed and supported for years, and most importantly, Israel. And we can't come across constantly fucking yelling about voters not voting right or voters prioritizing things that we don't want them to prioritize. So we'll just yell at a guy who seems to be a megaphone for these issues. Because it's much easier to yell at an influencer. You can like, especially an influencer like myself, who has spoken on the record for more than 10,000 hours, almost 12,000 hours at this point, about these issues. It's much easier to identify key quotes that you can just keep repeatedly slamming me with over and over again.
Okay, let's jump into the article. You know, the article opens up by likening HASAN to far-right anti-Semites like Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens. Part of the piece reads, quote, left-wing anti-Semites are savvier than the Nazi endorsers on the right who marched in Charlottesville, Virginia, and sat for dinner with the president. This was the first sentence that kind of jumped out to me in the piece because it does seem like Savier's doing some work here. There are material differences between Piker and Fuentes, at least some. Piker has voted for Democrats, Harris in 2024, Biden in 2020. He has openly opposed Trump, while Fuentes has openly praised Hitler, dined with Trump, kind of as the piece reference. Does that make them categorically different or just packaged differently? How is that not a material difference, just savvy, as the piece says?
Well, let me say a couple of things. First of all, Hasan Piker is dangerously close to Nick Fuentes in the level of bigotry and racism and misogyny that he espouses. I mean, it's just staggering.
This guy is out of his fucking mind. And anyone who is even remotely familiar, ASTEAD knows me, obviously. ASTEAD has literally invited me to speak at University of Chicago at the Politics Institute. So it's like, I don't think this guy knows that, but it doesn't matter. And obviously, I don't think he's going to push back on any of this stuff. But it's totally ridiculous, preposterous to make this comparison. And no one with fucking half a brain cell is going to agree with this.
This is what Hasan Piker said about Miley Cyrus. I want to say thank you to Miley Cyrus
for showing off her camel toe at the VMAs the other night. I always knew Hannah Montana was a little slut. Don't even try.
Dude, it's like you're posting this video that someone else unearthed for you from literally fucking 2013. The video was so unbelievably cringe, attempted satire, and I've addressed it 750 gorillion times. But it's so crazy because, like, I don't even look like this person. Not only does this obviously not represent who I am, but I don't even look like this person. It's a 240p clip that you pulled out of your ass to just be like, oh, you're a fucking misogynist. Yeah. It's a fucking sketch. And it was so lame that I didn't even fucking think it was good enough to keep out there. It was a released failed attempt at satire that we deleted literally a month after it was out. Yeah, it had a fucking satire warning as well. But it doesn't even fucking matter, right? It doesn't even matter because it's something that I've already addressed a million times over.
I just want to re-level set. I'm not here for the Hasan Piker is a good person or not question. I'm here for the claims that the article is making. And I guess I wanted to just ask my question again. Like, sure. Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens are Trump supporters who have, at times, said nice things about Hitler. Hasan Piker has not done that, has voted for Democrats, has advocated against Trump. And I'm saying, does that make him savvier or does that make him different?
Got it. So Hasan Piker said, he says, if you're someone who says, if I'm a liberal Zionist, it's like saying you're a liberal Nazi. Okay? Mm-hmm. So that is anti-Semitic to its...
No, it's not. Here's the reality. You know it's not. You can't argue against it, which is why you have to keep going down to your fucking notes to be like, well, this is why he needs to be deplatformed. But I'm not saying he needs to be deplatformed, but I'm saying that he's a bad guy. You shouldn't associate with him. Argue against the fucking point then. Like all this old shit that you're fucking pulling out of your ass because, you know, someone sent it to you to be like, this guy's bad. Please don't listen to him. Who gives a fuck? None of that shit matters. The shit that actually matters is what I'm saying right now. And you can't argue against anything that I'm saying right now, so you have to keep going. But please, it's just like Nick Fuentes. Why would Nick Fuentes say liberal Zionists are like liberal Nazis? He's a Nazi. So you can't even make that fucking comparison. He literally has a positive opinion of the Nazis. He has openly stated that he is a neo-Nazi and he likes the Nazis. He said Adolf Hitler is base. Obviously, that comparison falls apart with like literally a little bit of scrutiny.
Core to say that someone who believes in the existence of Israel is the same as a Nazi. I can't really see the difference between that and Nick Fuentes. On his voting for Democrats...
I can. Nick Fuentes would consider that to be an inappropriate comparison because he's positive about Nazis.
This is what he said about Kamala Harris. He said Democrats, if they were in charge now, would be doing 100% the exact same thing. Exact same thing he means as Trump. 1-to-1. Make no fucking mistake. Anyone who tries to tell you Kamala Harris would be different is
Yeah, again, on the issue of Israel, it's so unbelievably disingenuous that we have straight up fucking adults that are supposed to be goddamn adults that are Democratic Party operatives that have worked within the Democratic Party for 3 decades, that are perhaps most responsible for its fucking failures, still trying to be the banner carrier for this uniparty attitude when it comes to Israel. Also, even the fucking clip chimps, unironically, are probably more appealing to the average normie. Again, I can't stress this enough. Normies don't actually look at the Democratic Party's attitude on Israel or anything else, really, and think that there is like major differences anyway. I do. You're yelling at a guy who does recognize that there is differences, just not on foreign policy and especially not on the issue of Israel, with some fairly significant new developments and exceptions with respect to what Donald Trump has done.
So, no, he's not for Democrats. He's for China and Russia. He has said that America deserved 9/11. America is, quote, truly the Fourth Reich with newts. So it's not I'm arguing with you. You're asking great questions. It's that I reject the whole premise. This guy is like Nick Fuentes.
Okay.
And we shouldn't be close to him.
In the article, it also says this language can beget violence. Last year, an alleged murderer, seemingly inspired by left-wing rhetoric, killed 2 people for the crime of being Jewish at the Capitol Jewish Museum. Democrats must understand that accepting anti-Semitic figures like Mr. Piker into the mainstreams puts Jewish lives in danger. Now, I think certainly unequivocally anti-Semitism is on the rise. That represents a violent threat to many Americans. I think we can both acknowledge that. But the CNMP's link there, connecting Piker to the violence, doesn't even mention his name. So I kind of was wondering where that connection came from. Saying that anti-Semitic figures like Piker puts Jewish American lives in danger seems like a pretty big claim. Do we have evidence that Piker's rhetoric has led to violence directly?
Yeah, no, he doesn't. He's just fucking, he doesn't. So he's just gonna be like, well, it makes me feel bad.
Piker is someone who actively encourages violence. So let me give you a quote from Hasan Piker. This is about people who own property. Kill them. Kill those motherfuckers and murder those motherfuckers in the street. Let the streets soak in their fucking red capitalist blood, dude.
Bitch, I own property. The fuck are you talking about? I literally famously purchased a home. What are you saying? Most people see this stuff and go, oh, here we go, dude. I know you, like, they also recognize that cancel culture is so unfavorable and viewed so unfavorably by the broadest subsect of American society that they have to couch this with like, I'm not trying to deplatform him, but. So if you're saying that first part, you already know that this endeavor, this malicious outrage manufacturing is going to fail on its face. It's going to fall on its face, it's going to fail. It's not going to work because most people just go, I don't give a shit, man. I don't care. Like, who cares? Okay, this guy's bad. Why should I give a shit about this? They tried this with Trump. It literally didn't work with Trump, and they're still trying to do it. And now they're like, maybe if it didn't work with Trump, but maybe we can do this to the socialist left flank. It's not working. People are smart enough to, 1, get annoyed with this shit because it's unbelievably fucking annoying. And 2, they're smart enough to recognize, I care about the policies. I care about the worldview. I don't care about the optics. I don't care about what someone has said in the past. I don't care about the quote mining that you engage in. I only care about who this person is now. Just one more article, and this will work is an idiotic endeavor. It's an idiotic argument. The problem for Third Way is that they structurally can't do that because their worldview is so odious and so out of touch with the needs of the masses that he can't just go there and say with his chest, I want every Democrat to care about the things I care about. I want every Democrat to have a favorable opinion on Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, British Petroleum, Chevron, Exxon, and numerous other corporate subsidiaries and corporate donors that I'm tasked with connecting with the fucking Democratic Party's political class, with his political representation, so they don't listen to the fucking needs of the masses. Or rather, I want to change the needs of the masses to being more favorable to this corporate oligopoly that we have created. He can't say that, so he has to go, Oh, the people railing against the structure are actually bad people, I promise. They can't make an actual argument. I can. That's the difference. I can tell you exactly what I care about. I can tell you exactly what I believe, and I can tell you exactly what I'm fighting for. They can't.
The moderate Democratic base is heavily working class people of color. It doesn't really exist without that kind of diverse base. I wondered about where this priority comes from. If Third Way's point is that Democrats are struggling in places to win over more moderate voters, I guess I was wondering, how do you know that the moderates in question, kind of at the base of the party, share this priority? Do they care about Hasan Piker?
They do not. Not even a little bit. In a way that's very forgiving for me and unforgiving for Third Way's priorities. Because once again, the quote-unquote moderate base of support align with me almost entirely. Broadly speaking, the issues that I care about, the issues that I fight for, whether it is to call into question America's allegiance to Israel, whether it's to demand free healthcare and free college education and a better infrastructure, to change our spending priorities, to improve the material conditions of the American working class, as opposed to what these fucking dickheads advance and advocate for, which is the exact opposite of those things. Who do you think the average American, which message is going to resonate with the average American voter? Saying, fuck Israel, we should stop giving them money and spend that money on healthcare instead? Or saying, actually, Israel is our most reliable ally and we need to keep giving them money and we should allow them to also merge with our military, as a matter of fact. And you're a fucking idiot and a simpleton if you think that you deserve free healthcare. What do you think the average American is going to identify with as a political message? What I'm saying or what they're saying? This moderate voter mentality is gone. This moderate voter was never there. There was never a moment in American politics where there was a guy who was like, you know what? I want to vote for the Democrats over the Republicans, but I really don't like free healthcare. Like, as a concept, I really, really hate free healthcare. I don't deserve it. I love being saddled with medical debt after a life-altering medical incident. I love that shit. As long as Aetna and Blue Cross Blue Shield are turning profits, as long as they are increasing the GDP year over year, I'm happy as an American civilian, American citizen, and American voter. Fucking idiotic. What's shocking to me is that they've been able to maintain this nonsensical meta for as long as they were able to maintain it. And they were able to maintain it because the media was completely captive to the same exact corporate interests. So the media kept giving these guys the time of day and reinforcing this message that electability falls on the side of moderates. Electability falls on the side of incremental gains. Electability falls on the side of people who say, no, private healthcare is good, actually. No, Israel is good, actually. It's not real. And it's such a demonstrable failure that Kamala Harris represented those values, and she failed spectacularly. And she failed in such a spectacular manner that even the voters were like, oh, dude, you've been lying to us.
We just held a major conference in South Carolina. Those folks want to win. They don't want a party that is deeply connected to and associated with hateful, bigoted extremists like Hasan Piker. That is, their priority is winning, beating back Trumpism and expanding the map. They know in their bones that to do that, you don't...
Yeah, this argument falls by the wayside if you can't prove it. And you can't prove it because it's been disproven. Kamala Harris's defeat, alongside Hillary Clinton's defeat, to Trumpism disproved this for every single Democratic Party voter that wants to fucking win races.
We don't need two extremist parties in this country. If Democrats are going to beat MAGA and expand the
they
map,
have to become
the House,
MAGA light. Sure, it didn't work the last million times we tried it, but this time it'll be different.
The only way to do that is to offer an alternative to the extremism of Trumpism, not to mirror it.
I guess Third Way's memo after the 2024 election about the working class disconnect in the party, which I think you may be referencing here, concluded that the party leans too hard into identity politics. The number one takeaway in that memo was that working class voters...
Yeah, cook his ass, ASTEAD. Yeah, leaning too hard into the identity politics. And now look where they're at. Leaning hard into the identity politics to fucking yell about someone who represents the interests of the masses.
I guess I'm asking, how do you say that in 2025 and then have a campaign come 2026 that is frankly a priority about identity politics? It seems to me that just as you all argued that voters care about more kitchen table, tangible concerns, How do you follow up with that with a campaign about Hasan Piker?
I'm not positive I'm following the premise of the question, but let me respond as best I can. So, first of all, we didn't say that voters and working class voters only care about kitchen table issues. We said they care a lot, but they also care that Democrats don't take what they perceive to be extremist positions.
Yeah, no, the reason why you didn't understand the premise of the question is because it literally undermines the position that you had earlier. That what you're doing right now, this practice of like, we should really dial in on a fucking Twitch streamer as a representative of the growing left flank politics and the overwhelming appetite that the masses have for this left wing politics. We should cast it aside as extremist and literally hit the same identity politics lines, the cynical deployment of IDPOL that we previously said sucked dick.
I don't see how this is identity politics. We are making a simple assertion that if Democrats cozy up to an extremist like Hasan Piker, not only is that morally wrong, but they are going to push away many of the moderate voters that they need to build electoral majorities. And by the way,
how do you know that? Like, I guess I'm saying, like, it's happening right now. The man has a popular Twitch stream, much more popular than a lot of other people and a lot of more moderate folks making a similar message. He's not getting invited to CrookedCon or these other things because there's not an audience. How are you so confident in your assertion that Hasan Piker's political views, which I understand you're making a point about the clearly offensive things that he has said throughout his time in public life, but there is clearly an audience for Hasan Piker's political message. So I'm saying, how do you separate those two things? How do you deal with the reality that Democrats have changed on terms of like America's relationship to Israel? That things like Medicare for All are increasingly popular. Like things like Abolish ICE are growing in popularity. So I'm saying that is, I think, a more full representation of the stuff he talks about politically. How are you dealing with that shift among the Democratic base, even if you're making the argument that he himself is offensive?
Well, let me just give you an example. I get your question. So in 2025, in the off-year elections, right, Mondani, a Democratic socialist, won in New York, right? And Sherrill and Spanberger won in New Jersey and Virginia. They were both.
Spanberger is now deeply unpopular due to the same exact moderate policies that she has advanced, as opposed to Zohran Mamdani, who has followed through on his campaign promises, is deeply popular. Not only is their argument about moderates winning elections wrong, yes, in an anti-Trump wave year, yes, you can put a cookie-cutter neoliberal Democrat in office and they will probably win. But will they maintain their popularity, or will they make way for potentially a worse version of MAGA later down the line is the question. And we know that that has happened already with Joe Biden. Joe Biden was the moderate. There were a lot of things that he did that was incrementally moving the needle in the appropriate direction, but no bold, radical, sweeping agenda changes. And we got Trump again in the aftermath of that because his popularity fucking fell by the wayside. We don't just want people to win elections in that year due to the unpopularity of the Republicans. We want a resilient political movement. We want real changes. We want real changes to come that will benefit the working class.
So since 2018, right, a central task has been to flip red congressional seats to blue, right? That's a central task in the Trump era. Crucial task. The House New Democrats have backed candidates and invested in candidates who flip 50 seats. Our Revolution, right, and Justice Democrats, two of the most prominent left-wing groups associated with Piker and Bernie and AOC, et cetera, have flipped literally zero.
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah.
Zero. Okay. Well, that tells you where voters are at.
Dog, you have an unbelievable money cannon that you deploy at these races that you identify with, whereas groups like Our Revolution are so much pickier by design because they have an ideological slant. I don't know if what he is saying currently is correct either, but you're literally taking ownership over the entirety of the coffers of the DNC and then pairing that up against a fucking random group that doesn't even have a fucking fraction of the coffers of the DNC.
These folks have tried over and over and over since 2018. They only make blue places bluer. So I reject the premise of your question. It is true that Mondani can be popular, in a deep blue place. And it's also true that lots and lots of moderates can get elected in purple and red places. Those things are simultaneously true.
As far as what he's saying, this is the last gasp of a dying movement. Neoliberalism is dying. People find this kind of politics to be repugnant. It's elitist, it's out of touch. It puts corporations and corporate interests first over the interests of the masses, right? So he's basically presenting the last version of this argument, which is Zoran only works in New York. It doesn't work in purple districts. Okay, Maine and Michigan are very important races for that reason. That's why I keep saying it doesn't matter what fucking Graham Plattner's background is. Doesn't matter what the fucking red flags are there. As far as like an argument against the way that these guys have represented the best possible electoralist method, Graham Plattner and Abdul Sayed are going to be the final nail in the coffin for this kind of pro-neoliberal, pro-corporate Democrat message from advancing. Once that goes away, they're going to say, oh, why can't socialists win in Alabama? And guess what? We'll fucking win there too one day. First, they say socialism doesn't win anywhere. Then when it starts winning in places like New York, they say, oh, it's just deep blue. That's why it's winning in New York. Once it starts winning in purple areas, they're going to say, why doesn't it win in deep red? And one day, we'll win in deep red places too.
If the existential threat politically of our time is MAGA and Trump, the job is to beat them, to win the White House, to flip the Senate, and to flip the House. That's the job. Why would you then try to make blue places bluer? That's a serious distraction if you believe that MAGA is an existential threat to our democracy and our way of life.
Donald Trump is president right now. Not because of progressives, really. You know, like the existential threat of Donald Trump, that goal, Democrats failed it. Like, he won again.
By the way, here's the thing. ASTEAD, unlike many of his counterparts in mainstream news and mainstream media, because of his job as a reporter that travels the entire country, has talked to these real moderate voters. So he knows that the third way argument is a failure. He has seen the third way argument be broadly represented to the masses and fail. He has heard from people in red districts and purple districts, moderate voters, what this guy would perceive as moderate voters, and he's heard from them that the Democratic Party is seen as an absolute fucking failure.
If you're offering a vision for the future of the Democratic Party, right, that vision cannot just be your dreams of what you want to have happen. It has to be grounded in political reality, right? Your vision has to have concrete proof that you can over and over and over again expand this deep blue formula to places that are red and purple. Because if you can't do that, all you're saying is we can hold a small slice of the country and make it even bluer, but we have no formula to actually flip the rest of the country. That's a non-starter as a political vision. That's where it connects.
We know this is a failure, dude. You own the Democratic Party, and therefore you own its failures. We know it failed in 2016 and also in 2024. If this vision, the constant pivot to the center, had a real base of support and was broadly popular, you wouldn't have to dignify ASTEAD with a conversation about a fucking socialist Twitch streamer. It's that simple. Because guess what? We'd be living under Kamala Harris's first female presidency right now. If that vision was a success and it was objectively popular and it could defeat Trumpism, you wouldn't be going on fucking Vox.com debates over how wrong someone like myself is. You wouldn't even know who the fuck I am because your vision would have won. It would have proven without any doubt whatsoever to anyone who is knowledgeable on the issue, anyone with a crumb of interest in winning elections, that your style of politics had a real market, had a real audience, had a real legion of diehard supporters. And you wouldn't be wasting your time doing this shit. The reason why you're duking it out about a fucking Twitch streamer and failing to deliver a convincing message to ASTEAD is because it's failed. The Democratic Party has failed over and over again.
Is there anything that you think he hasn't answered or is a question that you want to put in front of him from Third Way?
He has said repeatedly that he doesn't want to apologize for anything he says. He doesn't take it back. It's all taken out of context. We've heard him say that many times.
That's not true. Listen, man, if you serve a fucking platter that has a diverse range of issues that you're representing as though it's like it bears significance on my current attitude or my current advocacy, while simultaneously peppering in actual shit that I have said recently and do believe and do stand by. Yes, some of those things I'm not going to apologize for because there's nothing to apologize for, like the Israel-Hamas dynamic, right? But yes, of course, there's plenty of things that you've brought up in here that I have apologized for in the past.
Well, I gave you the one on Miley.
Yep, we'll ask about that one.
Okay, how about this one? There is nothing more annoying to me than fucking first generation, second generation, third generation Asian motherfuckers who are dogs to white people. You are literally barking for white people.
Yeah. See, that's a great quote. I'm talking about minority groups that tokenize themselves deliberately to participate in white supremacist actions. What do you want me to say? You want me to fucking apologize for people that literally place themselves at the forefront of the anti-DEI, anti-affirmative action initiatives? Do you not feel even a sense of shame when you're talking to a black man too about this fucking, like it is out of context, I guess, in that circumstance. Out of context quote? No, there is no standpoint epistemology. When you come to me with a fucking quote like that, I'm going to tell you what the quote is about. Now you can tell me if you disagree with it. Do you think that the anti-DEI initiatives were actually appropriate? Do you stand by that? Do you agree with the Trumpism and the MAGA movement on that front? Do you think it was good that a bunch of white supremacist organizations with a white supremacist goal of destroying what remains of a crumb of hope, a crumb of upwards mobility that we've offered to some black people if they're fortunate enough to receive it, that getting destroyed was good? Is that how you feel? You think the anti-DEI initiatives are solid? Yeah, I think it's fucking ridiculous. I don't give a shit if it's a white supremacist organization that puts at the forefront of their message a bunch of students that have been harmed by affirmative action and anti-DEI initiatives that happen to be Asian. Yes, they're using standpoint epistemology to advance a white supremacist agenda.
Is he ever going to apologize sincerely and profusely and go on an actual apology tour for the...
Why the fuck would I do that? Suck my dick, dumbass.
Dozens and dozens and dozens of bigoted, offensive, misogynistic things he said? Or is he just
let me constantly, oh my God, I'm so sorry for a litany of quotes that are mostly out of fucking context over the course of my fucking 13-year political commentary career. Oh my God. You think that's productive? Talk about a fucking distraction. God, this is the mighty falling out of favor, okay? This guy worked for presidents. This guy and this institution was at the center of power in the Democratic Party, and now he has reduced himself to debating Twitch streamers, dude. It's over. Your movement is dead. It's done. We are coming. It's that simple. You can keep crying and behaving like a fucking baby over and over again. Be like, oh, it hurt my feelings. I heard some of his quotes and it was scary. But the real thing you fear is not necessarily the things that you heard about me that really frustrated you. The real thing you fear is that you're losing prominence. You're not even debating Twitch streamers. It's even worse. You're debating about Twitch streamers because you can't fucking talk to me directly either. Because I've already said it. Like, I'll talk to anybody at fucking Third Way. Anytime, any day. If they want to come on the broadcast and cry about my choice quotes, oh my God.
Do you have anything else you want to make sure you mention? I got through my questions. We'll take these to them, but want to make sure you feel like you had your piece.
No, that was great. Very quick, actually, just because it's relevant to what just happened. Just to note at a practical level, in the California races, so Chakrabarti, who was AOC's former chief of staff, campaigned with Piker. He came in a distant third in that race. Tom Steyer went on Piker's stream, so I get it.
Yeah, he also brought up Nithya Raman, but Astead gave him the favorable edit. They took out the Nithya Raman part. I know. He brought up Raman too. But by the time they had come, they'd actually interviewed me, it turns out Nithya Raman had won over Spencer Pratt. And I talked about that extensively with Astead. So I'm a little sad that they edited that in his favor. Because I know he brought that up because Astead brought it up to me. And at that point, Nithya Raman had won. And I even brought up the fact that this guy was actively celebrating a Republican like Spencer Pratt winning or what he thought at the time was a victory over Nithya Raman, and it showed his priorities.
Very unclear that as a practical matter, Piker gets you much of anything except driving away people who matter to building a big Democratic tent. I want to come back. Here's what we are asking of Democrats. Don't campaign with the guy. Don't platform him. Don't cozy up to him.
It's so funny that it's just not going to work either. Think about this man's peak success. Like, his goal is to not have me sit on stage with any of these fucking candidates, right? And what's hilarious about it is that even if every single candidate going forward from this day on was like, I hate Hasan, that wouldn't change what I'm doing even a little bit. I don't like doing candidate interviews. I don't like it. I don't like doing candidate interviews at all. I don't like appearing alongside candidates. I mean, I caught the bug on the rally stuff a little bit. I think it's fun. But even then, I'm perfectly fine never doing another rally ever again. You want to know why? It's not great content. Nobody in my audience gives a shit about it. They don't even like it. They don't even watch it on the VODs. They don't like it when I'm doing it live. I don't do it because it's really good for me. I'm spending a shit ton of money out of pocket. Shouts out to the subscribers. It's bad content. If that was the reason why I was doing it, it's bad content. Doesn't do anything for me. I'm literally fucking burning money anytime I do this. I'm away from home. I'm away from my dog. I'm away from my friends and family. It fucks up my schedule. I don't do it because it helps me. I do it because it helps the candidates, you fucking idiot. And guess what? The candidates know that. Which is precisely the reason why, since this goddamn article came out, there's plenty of parts that he won't acknowledge. Adam Hamawi won, obviously. He won't ever fucking recognize that. And Abdul Sayed has surged into first place in the Democratic Party primaries in the Senate race in Michigan. That's the thing. Chris Rabb won as well against the Democratic Party machine. That's the beauty of it. He won't talk about the fucking victories because he's trying to actively try to get everyone to stop talking to me. The reality is, since that article came out, not only were there tremendous victories, but beyond that, every Democrat around the country has literally reached out, including centrist Democrats, ironically enough, because they were like, oh my God, this guy clearly has a big audience and he's speaking for a cause that we need to hear from. He's speaking for causes that we need to actually gain more legitimacy and more prominence in. We are Charlie Kirk. We carry the flame. We'll fight for the gospel. We'll honor his name. We are Charlie Kirk. His courage on. Together unbroken. We'll make heaven known.